I saw Kinds of Kindness last week, and like every Yorgos Lanthimos film, it was nothing like I expected it to be. It confused me, and ultimately it shocked me quite a lot. The film follows 3 different stories which are very different from one another, yet very similar as well to some extent. Today I want to discuss each story individually and try and give some explanation behind them, try and understand some of the themes and choices that occur in each one. Robert, played by Jesse Plemons, whose life is controlled by his boss Raymond, who is played by Willem Dafoe. When Robert decides to leave this relationship, his life begins to completely collapse. The boss decides everything in his day-to-day activities, from what he eats for dinner to even when he's allowed to have sex with his wife. It shows the toxic link that's shown between workers and their employees. Dafoe's character symbolises the influence that bosses and companies can have within our own personal lives. Throughout, we're reminded on how everything in our lives are linked with our employment and our jobs. This is seen with things like the homes that we decide to live in, who we're together with in a relationship, and even the cars that we drive. The entire story is an analysis on how humans are exploited within the workplace and are pushed to our physical and mental limits to please our employers, only to be dismissed when deciding to fight back or refuse certain tasks. Plemons' character goes through this when he refuses to get into a car crash, which will kill someone. Robert stands up to Raymond and realises the consequences, and utterly, by the end of the story, he goes back to him, realising the mistake he's made. I think it's a great story, and it serves as a statement on how people are made to take part in toxic relationships with their higher-ups in order to survive in the workplace, almost always at the cost of our own lifestyles. Plemons again, who is a police officer whose marine biologist wife returns after going missing at sea. However, he feels that something is not right with her, and maybe not everything is what it seems. This was the story that left me most confused, but after some thought and research, I feel somewhat confident to try and give some kind of explanation. The story discusses fantasies that we may sometimes create around other people, that we may be in a relationship with, or just deeply have a connection with, or think we have a connection with, especially when there's a distance between them. In this case, Liz, Daniel's wife, who's played by Emma Stone, is missing. It explores how in our head we may create an ideal vision of what we want this person to be like in our mind. When we're finally met with this vision, and it doesn't appear the way that we wanted it to, we may decide to argue or abuse the person in order to try and mold them into what we want. In the story, Emma Stone's character Liz literally does this, taking apart her finger and taking her liver out in a way to please Daniel's expectations of her character. The abusive evolution showcases the darkness that comes with trying to turn someone into something that they're not for our own pleasure, and in the end, Daniel is granted his fantasy version of Liz, which appears in a very unrealistic manner, touching on how sometimes people can push their fantasies onto other people, oftentimes for the worst. Everybody's looking for something. The final story follows cult members Emily and Andrew, played once again by Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons, as they are on an attempt to find this prophesized character who is destined for greatness and to be a leader. The story discusses the relationship that's held between a community and their faith to any kind of religion, the cult being a stand-in for other beliefs in the world like Christianity. Having faith in something can provide people with several things in their life: something to live towards, a community to be a part of, and connection to a cause greater than themselves. This can come with a cost. In the story, Emily is cast out of the community for meeting up with her family on the outside. The cult sees this as a way of embracing toxic fluids and treat her like she's diseased. To make matters worse, she's discovered by Jesse Plemons' character Andrew. As he exposes her because of his connection to the leader of the cult, he feels that this might impact him in a bad way and he could get kicked out too. The story showcases the lengths that people will go in order to continue being a part of a community of faith, even going against their morals. The story picks fun at how some of these communities make members sacrifice some of their own personal morals in order to be a part of them, suggesting to the viewer that any community that asks us to give parts of our own life up might not be worth the faith that it offers. All in all, the story is an analysis on how we feel the need to belong somewhere, and how it can lead to us losing parts of our own values just to feel that sense of belonging. And yeah, that's my analysis on the 3 stories. I feel like this is a type of film that there is no real right or wrong answer. Everyone's gonna have different views. If you have a different opinion on these stories, then please feel free to let me know in the comments. This is just my take. I definitely want to watch the film again and see if there's more to get out of it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please check out my other videos as well. And yeah, see ya.